Hey YouTubers, welcome back to Go Into the Country, series of videos for city people thinking about moving out to the rural areas. We did it over 20 years ago and it's been an education. I've learned a lot and that's what these videos are all about. I'm going to give you some tips and some tricks and give you a few heads ups, things that'll save you some time and some money. Of course, everybody these days is talking about sustainability and I guess I never realized it, but on my first property on 5 acres on Gabriel Island, I actually did sort of build a sustainable house because much of the material that I used came off of the property. All of the siding, the flooring, and a lot of the vaulted ceilings. And it was quite an education, and it took a lot of research on my part. I always talk about local knowledge and talking to locals and asking locals. Sometimes you just got to do the research yourself, and this was a case in point when it came to what I could do with some of the wood on my property. I had a lot of big maples on this property. I had fir, cedar as well, but I had a lot of big maples and beautiful, beautiful trees. Big leaf western maple. This is in the southwest coast of British Columbia. And I started asking the equipment operators and the fallers and some of the locals what I could do with this wood, if it was worth anything, if I could sell it to furniture builders or people like that, or if it was worth it to use it myself for flooring or whatever. And everybody told me, no, it's maple, it's just garbage, right? Some guys said it wasn't even good for firewood. It's terrible. Well, I kept asking questions and doing some research. And sure enough, that big leaf maple, people do use it for building furniture. And I found a specialty mill not far from where I lived, and he had a kiln for drying the wood, because with something like maple, you need to get it kiln dried because it's got a lot of moisture in it. He had a kiln for drying the wood, and also he had the equipment for planing it and tongue and grooving it and things like that. So what I did with this maple, it was a lot of work. I don't think I saved any money. It was something I did for my own sort of satisfaction. It was a lot of work. But with this maple, first I had it rough milled on the property into roughly 1x4. Then I took it to this specialty mill. He dried it, and then he planed it, and he tongue and grooved it. And I had 900 square feet of beautiful maple flooring on the main floor of my home. And I loved it. It was a beautiful feature. The other thing I was able to do on that property, and this did save me money. I can't give you an exact number, per board foot or whatever, but I know it did save me a lot of money. I had a lot of cedar. I had a lot of beautiful cedar, and all the decking, all the siding was cedar off of the property, and I had beautiful vaulted ceilings in my living room. That came off the property. And all the interior trim on all my windows was all cedar that came off the property. So that saved me a lot of money. Now, if you're just thinking about having logs milled up into dimension lumber, 2x4s and 2x6s for building your house, make sure you do your research. Chances are you're going to find that it's just cheaper to go to your local hardware store and buy the material that way. That's just the way it is. A small mill, a small sawmill operator, he can't compete, with a gigantic mill. So make sure you do your research. But if all you have is big fir, let's say on your property, that also makes nice wood for interior finishing, and that does save you money. If you have that milled up and then planed, and you can plane it, you can rent a planer and plane it yourself. That will save you money if you do your interior finishing with wood that's milled up locally on your property. And you can do with fir, you might have pine, alder. You can do flooring with any of those kinds of woods. I mean, guys will say, oh, you can't do that, but you can. You can use whatever you want on a floor. But you can do your trim finishing as well as vaulted ceilings. So you can save money by using the wood off your property. And it goes a long way. You're actually building a sustainable house because you're not trucking it in from God knows where. So there you go. I guess I did it without even knowing I was building a sustainable house. Of course, things like drywall and There's no way around that, and electrical wiring and things like that. But in terms of the main structure and your interior finishing, you can do a lot. So if you're buying raw property, before you start to build and before you go on to the builder and give them your building list, make sure you talk to a local sawmill operator. They're all over the place. They have those little portable sawmills now. They're everywhere, especially in the country. Make sure talk to a local mill operator and get him to come and look at your trees and get him to give you his advice on what might be worth milling and what not. So there you go, building the sustainable house. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to talk about next time, guys. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.